This video is about loops. The simplest type of loop is a logically controlled loop, or a while loop. One can prove that all possible flowcharts can be programmed using only a logically controlled loop, like this while loop, and a conditional branch statement, like an if statement. However, just because this is sufficient doesn't mean that it is always desirable. We'll see that the while loop is quite simple. The while loop construct in C, C++, C#, and Java is nearly identical. We have a while keyword followed by a test in parentheses, and then we have the loop body, and if the loop body consists of more than one statement, then curly braces are mandatory. In this simple code, I repeatedly ask the user to enter a number, and as long as that number is positive, the loop continues. But if I enter anything that is 0 or less than 0, the loop will exit. A while loop is ideal in this case because we don't know how many times this loop will iterate in advance. It depends on what the user enters in this step here. So a while loop makes sense when you do not know in advance the number of iterations that will occur. One thing that distinguishes C from its descendant languages is that it doesn't actually have a Boolean type. These tests actually evaluate to integer results. As a consequence, in C, and even in its descendant C++, one can get away with simply having an integer value in the while loop test. Now this can either be seen as a convenient feature or an invitation to many weird bugs. If I run this code, it will actually behave quite similarly to what we did before. If I enter positive numbers, it continues to loop. If I enter 0, it will stop. However, if I enter a negative number, the loop also continues. You see, the while loop only considers the test to have failed if that integer result in the test is 0. A negative number is not 0 and therefore represents a success. So we keep looping on all these negative values and only stop if we have a 0. Once again, this is either a convenient feature or a cause of many errors in C and C++, depending on how you approach it. Notice that in this loop, I start off by initializing x to the value 1. Assigning this value to x assures that the first loop test succeeds before I ask the user to enter the first number. However, since I know that I'm guaranteed to ask the user at least once to enter a value, it would actually be more appropriate to replace this while loop with a similar related construct called a do-while loop. I'll simply cut this out and replace it with the keyword do, and then put the test down here at the end, which must be followed by a semicolon. Now I do not have to assign anything to x, although I do still have to have the variable declared outside of the loop so it can be seen at this test point. When I run this code, it will behave identically. Positive numbers continue the loop, whereas a 0 or negative value will exit it. The standard while loop is known as a pretest loop, whereas this do-while loop is a post-test loop.